Hi everyone. So this is week 5 of my workshops, if you can call them workshops. I suppose they are workshops without any people in, but hey ho, they're still workshops. We've had a new drawing challenge, as you've probably seen some of them so far, and I thought what I'd try and do is to, do a few things from the drawing challenge just to help people if they're struggling with any of them. I'm not going to do them in consecutive order because it's like 16 weeks or something, so hopefully we're not going to be like stuck like this for 16 weeks, but I'm just going to pick random ones that I feel like might be kind of useful and kind of nice to do in a workshop. So today I'm going to do perspectival drawing, just the basic principles of drawing in perspective and drawing in the context of drawing. I'm going to just show you like a quick street view with using 1 point perspective, and then a little trick with drawing figures, because I did actually post another one of the drawing challenges was to draw a line of figures, which I obviously was quite poignant because there's a lot of them at the moment. Lines everywhere, queuing, and it's a good thing to draw because it just gets you used to how perspective works and how sometimes it's quite difficult to draw figures because you can't quite figure out, even though they look like they're staggered, that's the illusion because the horizon sort of depict the horizon, what's the word I'm looking for, dictates how they're positioned, if you see what I mean, how their heads and where their heads are, where their knees are, where their chest is. So what I'm going to do is I've got the iPad set up on a different ratio, got it on portrait, and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to have it so that I can just move it like that and draw here and then do this, if that's okay. Well, I don't know if it's not going to be okay because none of you can say anything to me, can you? So what we'll start with is I'll just show you, I'll show you buildings first, just to get your head around the idea of what I mean by perspective, 1 point perspective. So this is when you have things like 2 point perspectives, and you have 1 point perspective. We have several points of perspective, but it's to define it as a linear point of perspective that uses a single vanishing point to depict or create an illusion of depth in an image, so a drawn image. So if you're drawing buildings, it can be applied to anything. With 2 point perspective, you use it a lot for 3D objects, like a still life. You might use 2 point perspective, where you come from 2 points and you have a meet point where the sides, then you get the correct angles and the correct foreshortening and balance, all these boring words like parallel lines and blah blah blah. But we're not technical drawers, are we? So, and neither am I. So I don't know what I'm proclaiming to know about it, but I just thought I'd show you because it will relate to the drawing challenges that we're doing, and then it's just a nice thing to do. So all you'll need is a pencil and a ruler and a brain and some paper. And that is really it. So it's a simple one this week. You don't need much. Apologies if you haven't been able to do any of the things I've been showing recently because they've needed things you don't have. Now I'm going to have to do this. I'll see my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw. I've got my piece of paper here, and hopefully I've been using a charcoal pencil so you can see, because I did have a go with the pencil, but it's too faint, so I'll do that. I'm going to draw myself a square within this. Oh, horrible noise. Within somewhere, it doesn't matter how big, what size, whether it's long or short, or I'm going to draw myself a little rectangle here, like that. And then I'm going to choose a horizon line, depending on the depth of the angle of where you're looking with horizon. So say you're on a steep street, which had an incline, the horizon line would be very high, but I'm just going to do a sort of central-ish one for now. And the idea is you want to be able to create invisible lines. Well, you want to create a line which you'll use as a guide, but then that you can rub out afterwards. So I'm going to use a pencil just for this purposes of this, and I'm just going to put an X somewhere. So it doesn't really matter where. There, you can see that. And I'm going to draw a sort of dotted line. It doesn't have to be dotted, but it just so you know it's temporary. It's good to do it dotted because then you know it's something that you need to get rid of afterwards, and you've put in all your other lines. I'm just going to do it faintly because it'll take me ages to do a dotted one. So this point here, this little this X marks the spot, is where you want to, is where all your points are going to come from. All your lines are going to come from this point. So if you get yourself a ruler, I'm just going to draw like just a simple street. I know it's a bit sort of obvious, whatever, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go from my middle point here with a ruler, and I'm going to draw out with one line to the edge of my box like that. You don't have to draw a box. I just have because the paper's too big and it would take me too long. You can do it to the edge of the paper if you want, but it is quite nice to have a frame. And then you want to draw the same thing again on the other side. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter whether it's here or up here, somewhere sort of like that, because it's over to one side. You'll see in a minute how it works, but draw a line in there. And then I'm going to draw, and you will actually, because you're going to creating buildings, you'll probably have to rub out some of these gaps, in this line afterwards. So ideally don't use charcoal pencil because it doesn't rub out very well. This is not charcoal pencil, this is carbon Conte crayon, so it's going to be quite hard to rub out, but oh well. Well, I might go over it in pen afterwards and then it'll look darker. And then you want to do the same the other underneath your horizon line, so just I'm going to do like that, and then oops, like that, something like that. And then you've got sort of a weird sort of shape, which looks a bit strange. Which what you want to start doing is adding in straight lines, vertical lines from your bottom to your top, taking into consideration your middle point, your square here. So I'm just going to put in 2 lines either side of my square, of my X, like this.